Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's ZYTO Wellness webinar. My name is Jeff Crabb. I'm the Director of Marketing here at ZYTO, and I am happy to welcome each and every one of you here for an awesome webinar. We have put a lot of effort into this. Our presenter today, Patti, has put a lot of effort into this and preparing, and we're excited to share some new content with you. And we hope it's valuable. Today we're going to talk about how to nurture your practice to prosperity. And Patti, who I'll introduce here momentarily, has a lot of experience in how to do that. And we're hopeful that this is a valuable hour spent with us. I first want to maybe share a little bit about ZYTO. For those of you who have not been to a wellness webinar before or aren't familiar with who we are here at ZYTO, ZYTO is a wellness tool that helps provide practitioners like Patti and like many who are attending here live today with information and data that that they can take and help make improvements in lifestyle changes. It's not a diagnostic tool, but the information that's provided is incredibly valuable. And the more you learn about different trends and things like that are happening in the industry, it really enhances the information that you would receive through a ZYTO scan. And so today we're going to learn about the value of that a little bit more. There's two infographics that we've put together here over the last couple of months that I wanted to highlight as we kind of get going here today. The first is some clarification and information about our relationship and working with the FDA. It's incredibly important to us, our relationship with the FDA. Our hand cradle is actually registered as a Class 2 medical device, and it is cleared to measure the skin conductivity, which is what we refer to as galvanic skin response. And that's how we gather a lot of the information back from the body. We measure how the skin conductivity changes on an individual's hand. And as you can see on the infographic there on the left side of your screen, there's some information there about some of the processes and procedures that we've gone through to ensure complete compliance with the FDA standards and regulations. We take this very seriously, and obviously it's important that we remain 100% compliant all times. So this is just some information that it would be beneficial. There's a link right there that has further information. If you would love to share this to your networks, if you're a current user of ZYTO technology, we've had a lot of feedback from people that have appreciated this information and have shared it, and we've just gotten a great feedback. We wanted to share that with you again today. Additionally, is a secondary infographic that we've shared talking about the 8 unique features of ZYTO biocommunication and kind of the history, where it came from. Our founder, Dr. Von Cook, and kind of some of his credentials leading up to the foundation of ZYTO technology, and how that's evolved through the years to really turn into a powerful wellness tool in this industry. The hand cradle is a very precisely engineered hardware piece that provides a lot of valuable information, and the credibility that resides behind the scenes and our algorithms and how the software processes this information is incredibly important to us. Because we understand that you are going to be utilizing this and your credibility is on the line. So we take credibility it's incredibly important to us. And so we hope that you can utilize these two infographics and share that with anyone that has questions about what it is a scan is, how we get the information back from an individual's body, things like that. So the links are down there below. Like I mentioned, today's webinar is about nourishing your practice to prosperity. Patti Bartsch has a lot of experience doing that. She'll talk. I don't want to allude to too much, but she'll be mentioning a lot of what she's done that has allowed her practice to completely flourish and grow year over year, and the success that she's seen. She has a master's degree, a PhD, and she's an ND. She participates with Wellness Practice GPS. You'll see that website there below. We would encourage you to learn more about her after the webinar, and you'll have more information and ways to get in contact and connect with her online via her website later on in the presentation. But I met Patti we were talking about this earlier. It was about a year and a half ago at one of our ZYTO conferences, And as the presentations were going on throughout the day, Patti just had such enthusiasm about really taking seriously how to grow your practice, how to market yourself, how to be a better practitioner. And I had the opportunity. I snuck up and I grabbed her card, her information, and we've just remained in contact since then. And now we have such a great fit in this webinar series to bring her in and be able to share that. So Patti, thank you so much for being here today with us. We're super excited for your presentation. And I'll kind of turn the time over to you if you can introduce a little bit about who you are, share some fun details a little bit, let us know a little bit about you. That would be awesome.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Jeff. I am so excited to be here. There's tremendous interest in this topic. It's one of the highest subscribed webinars that ZYTO has put out so far, and so we're really excited to share this really valuable information with you. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about myself and let you know that I have a pretty unique background for someone who's in the natural health industry, in that I started my career in the biotechnology industry. I actually did cancer research for 8 years. But when I started out working for the biotech company, we were looking for a cure for cancer, but 7 years later when I left, we had stopped looking for a cure. We were looking for a drug that would keep your cancer from growing and spreading, but you'd have to stay on that drug for the rest of your life. And of course, that's the way the pharmaceutical industry has gone. They realize whether their drugs cure you or kill you, their financial outcome is the same. They lose a customer. So I left that career and spent 4 years as an animal nutritionist. My undergrad degree is actually in animal science. And then I spent 7 years as a high school teacher. Well, I started my wellness practice back in New England, which is where I'm from. But my husband is from Houston, Minnesota, and we realized if we ever wanted to go on vacation anywhere besides Houston, Minnesota, that maybe we needed to live a little closer. So 7 years ago, we moved out to Minnesota, and I set up my practice across the river in Wisconsin, not knowing a single person in the state. So I had absolutely zero network. Nobody knew who I was or what I did, and I was just like, hi, I'm new here. I do something weird. Can I help you? So, that's where I started, but over 7 years of being in practice, I've experienced consistent and continued growth, and I'm actually going to talk about that in a little more detail in a moment. But I really want to emphasize the ZYTO technology was the first technology that I brought into my practice. And my husband and I kind of joke that I'm a gadget girl. I really love technology, but a friend of mine happened to mention the ZYTO compass, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, and I think that could be helpful. And I brought in the compass, and I remember the first scan that I did on someone, I was blown away because I was like, oh, that's interesting because that product is often used for neuropathy. And she goes, well, I have neuropathy, but she had neglected to mention that in her intake. So I was like, okay, there's something to this technology if it's telling me things that they forget to tell me. So I used the compass, I want to say, for about 2 or 3 years, and I became aware that ZYTO had additional levels of software that were what I call practitioner levels. And so I think about 3 years into having the compass, I upgraded to the balance. And I used the balance for another 3 years or so. And of course, because I'm a gadget girl and I love technology, I was like, what is that elite thing all about? I'd really like to take a look at that. And long story short, I ended up with an elite. And then I heard about the conference in Chicago where I met Jeff. And I really went to that conference because I didn't know too much about EVOX. And I had to learn about EVOX because, again, gadgets. And so I went to Chicago, and in the afternoon of the session, they talked about EVOX, and I actually think I just left the presentation and went back to the sales table and was like, sign me up. I need one of these. So I've just progressed through the ZYTO line. I skipped the Select, but I've had all the other technology in my office and still today continue to use the EVOX and the Elite.
And from a ZYTO point of view, we believe in a high-tech, high-touch approach where really ZYTO is providing the high tech, but the practitioner, the knowledge that a practitioner has is really the secret sauce of it all. It's really what makes ZYTO technology amazing.
Exactly, and that's actually one of the things I kind of coach people on, and how to utilize the ZYTO technology in their consultations.
Mm-hmm.
But about
That's
2
awesome.
years ago, I was at a conference with some of my wellness practitioner friends, and just in conversation with them, I came to realize that while these were amazing practitioners, many with decades more experience than I had in the industry, they were not having thriving practices. They were just covering their expenses and taking a little bit home. And I thought, well, geez, I'm well over 6 figures by now. So maybe there's some things that I know that I could share with other practitioners to help them to build a thriving practice. And that's really why I started Wellness Practice GPS. And it's why I'm on this webinar with you guys today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a chart that details the growth of my wellness business, which is Naturally Unbridled Wellness. And you can see in 2012, which was my first full year, because I opened actually in December of 2011, so that little month didn't really count. But I did just shy of 50,000 in my first year. And then in my second year, I broke 6 figures, which apparently takes a lot of people a lot of time to be able to do that. Had continued and consistent growth, and then between 2015 and 2016 I went from $250,000 to $500,000, and then this year we're projected to do about 800,000 or so. You know, we still have a couple months to go here, but you know, just to show you that obviously the systems and strategies that I've developed over the years are effective and they're working, and I'm really happy to share some of those with you. So what I'm going to go over with you today is all based on my online coaching modules, which is called the 6-Figure Wellness Practice. And there are 4 different modules included in the program. And one is called Mastering the Money Monster, Ideal Client Magnetism, Rocking Reputation and Referrals, and Effective Events and Expos. So I believe that these 4 areas are foundational to the success of any wellness practice. And at the end of this presentation today, I actually have a really exciting special offer for people who are watching live or watching on the replay to kind of take what you're learning today to a higher level, and I'll be excited to share that with you. And we will have some time at the end for question and answer. Okay, so this webinar is perfect for you if you're a new or seasoned wellness practitioner looking to take your practice to the next level. It's perfect for you if you're an expert in wellness but struggle with marketing and other business skills. If you've spent your time and money doing events and expos and you're not getting any clients from them. And you know the value of what you do, but others aren't seeing it, and it's really limiting your growth. And this webinar is perfect for you if you and or your clients have some kind of hang up about money that you're ready to eliminate right now.
So I'm pretty sure everyone's hand should be up in the air like, yes, this applies to me in some fashion.
Right. So again, this content's based on my 6-Figure Wellness Practice program, and what we're going to go over today includes a mindset piece, some real marketing gold here. I hope everybody's got like a pen and some paper handy, or notes on your cell phone. Some tips on creating credibility, and event do's and don'ts. I've done tons of events over the years, and I've seen lots of people making the same types of mistakes, so I kind of wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. So let's get started. So I like to tell this little story about the artist. One of the first things that I coach practitioners on is their money mindset and embracing their value, because so many times practitioners have a hang up about charging people for what they know, thinking, oh, well, everything I know you can find on the internet. And it's like, well, maybe pieces, but the practitioner magic is putting all those pieces together.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to tell this story about the artist. Many years ago, there was an artist painting by the waterfront, and a woman approached him and asked, oh, would you paint a painting of me? I would really love to have a painting of me. So she sat down and he did a painting, and it was 5 or 10 minutes. And next thing you know, he reveals this masterpiece. And he shows her the painting, and she's like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. How much do I owe you? And he said, it's $1,000. And she's like, but that only took you 10 minutes. And he said, no, madam, it has taken me my whole life. And we have to look at ourselves as practitioners as the fact that what we are bringing to a client today, when we sit down face to face with somebody, we have been accumulating over years of reading and workshops and education. And so even though it may only take you half an hour, hour and a half, whatever your consultations are, even if it's only taking you a few minutes, the reality of it is that's because of your expertise that you have developed over the years. So I want to make sure that you're really embracing that there. So if you're on this call, you probably have a good idea how to nourish a human body. You know what it needs not only to survive, but to thrive. And water is to the human body what money is to your wellness practice. It is the nutrient that you die the fastest without. So if you start to look at money as a nutrient that nourishes your practice versus something that you take from your practice, your mindset shift happens when it comes to your pricing, your programs, and all of that stuff. So let's start nourishing your practice to prosperity with a healthy dose of vitamin M, money. So vitamin M is the one nutrient deficiency that will kill your practice fast. It's the one nutrient that nourishes your practice so you can invest in more products, more services, and marketing so that you can help more people heal. It's the one nutrient that we hate to talk about, and the one nutrient that we give away more than any others. I want you to embrace the nutrient. Get rid of that whole mindset that money is the root of all evil. The more healthy or the healthier your practice is, the more you can help others. You can invest in the infrastructure that you want. You can invest in the front desk person to help you out so you have more time to see more people. It's a nutrient that your practice needs to thrive. So what are some of the causes of vitamin M deficiency? Well, first of all, your education. So if you're any kind of professional wellness practitioner, you've got a significant amount invested in your education through not only degrees and diplomas, but also certifications. Equipment, and not just the technology that you use in your practice, but also look at your laptop, your printer, your cell phone. All of these things add up. The technology, you've got your ZYTO hand cradle, your ZYTO subscription, you've got your internet charges, all of those things, all kinds of overhead, insurance, and of course your time is valuable too. And a lot of people have a vitamin M deficiency because they simply lack a steady source. If you don't fully embrace the value of what you do and what you've invested to be able to do it, I promise you that no one else will either. You must master the money monster. The number one roadblock to a successful practice is that either the practitioner, the client, or both have some kind of block about money. Practitioners tend to give away too much for free or at a discount. They undervalue their knowledge, expertise, and experience and investment in infrastructure, make assumptions about what a client can or won't pay. Without a steady stream of income, your practice cannot survive, and until you overcome the hesitations about money, your success will severely be limited. Once you do that, though, once you own it, once you see it as a way to nourish your practice so you can enjoy your life, develop your dream practice, the universe is going to comply with your vibration when you're in the energy of abundance versus the energy of lack and scarcity. When I first started in practice, I had a scarcity mindset. When I started full-time out here, we had just moved out here. I had no network to draw from. I had all expenses and no income. And therefore, because I had a scarcity mindset, I was discounting left and right. I was giving free consultations. But I clearly remember the day, the first time I sat down and I walked someone through the cleanse and detoxification program that I was recommending for them. And I told them the price was $300 and something, and they said, okay. That single moment is burned into my memory because it shifted my mindset. It made me aware that people were willing to invest if they understood the value of what it was going to do for them. So make this mindset shift a priority for you, and then watch the magic happen. So now we're moving on to the marketing piece, which is really exciting. I want to let you in on the biggest mistake practitioners make when marketing their services. You talk about the process, not about the outcomes. So I'm going to give you an example that pretty much everyone can wrap their head around. So imagine a housekeeper who advertises, I'll clean your floor, I'll clean your toilet, I'll dust your furniture. Okay, so we understand the process. But now imagine one who promotes, when I clean your house, you'll be able to relax and spend time with friends and family. When I clean your house, you'll have more time and energy for hobbies. You'll feel peaceful and relaxed. Which one are you going to hire? The one that talks about the outcomes, right? The one that talks about how you're going to feel after the process. But what do? We talk about, okay, so we're going to have 5 appointments. The first one's going to be an hour. After that's going to be a half hour. And each appointment, I'm going to assess you and I'll tell you what you need. That's the process. That's not the outcome. What clients really want are outcomes. And that's what you need to be marketing. So let's talk about the perceived value. Here's a little news flash for you. Your clients don't necessarily value your certifications, credentials, and knowledge. What they actually value are the outcomes that you create. So make sure that you're looking at your marketing materials and you're asking yourself, is this outcome or is this process? And you want to make sure that you're talking about people who have better sleep, more energy, better digestion, less aches and pains, emotional balance. Those are the outcomes that people want. They don't really care that much about how you're going to get there until they know where you're taking them. Okay. I love this little piece. This is talking about attracting the clients that you love to work with. So I call this module the ideal client magnetism. So the way to attract more clients that you love to work with and love to work with you is to first sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and think about your favorite client or patient. Who is it that when you look at your schedule, you get so excited because they're coming in and you love to work with them? And when I do different workshops and coaching with different practitioners, I always ask them first, describe your ideal client for me. Who's your favorite client? And give me their characteristics. And consistently, these are the types of things that we hear. They show up on time. They're open and honest. They're not lying to you about eating off the dollar menu. They're not lying to you about how much water they drink. They're being very open and honest about where they're at and where they need to go. They're willing to change. They don't have that fix me mentality. They commit to their wellness program. They miss little, if any, doses at all. They consistently come back for rechecks, and they are determined to have success and not expect you to do all the work. They pay up front for their appointments, and they reschedule before leaving your office that day. And they call you first. I know in my office, if I have a client who comes back between one appointment and the next, and they go, oh yeah, well, since the last time I saw you, I had a bladder infection, so I took antibiotics, and I just like, oh no, we're like going backwards so far. Like, I wish you had called me first because we might have been able to help you with that. So, obviously there's cases where people call here first and I go, you need to go to the hospital. On your way, take a handful of magnesium. But it's really important that clients see you as a go-to resource. And then they refer everyone. I actually have a group of people that I refer to as Patti evangelists, because they send everyone my way. They'll be like, oh, you have a paper cut? Patti can help you with that. Oh, you have cancer? Patti can help you with that. And everything in between. Anybody's talking about anything going on in their body, they're like, oh, you got to go see my friend Patti. Okay, so what I want you guys to do while you're listening is I want you to get very clear on the answers, on your answers to these 5 questions. And don't worry, because you will get a link for the replay. But who do you want to serve? What are your favorite types of clients? Do they have a specific condition, a specific personality? I did this once with another practitioner, and she realized her top 3 favorite clients all happened to be nurses. And then how do you want to serve? What is it that you love to do? Do you have parts of your practice that you don't really love? Like I used to do detox foot baths and I hated that. They were so gross. So I just stopped because it's not what I wanted to do every day. What makes your heart sing? You know, most of us are self-employed, and you want to have a job where your employees want to stay, including you. So make sure that whatever it is you're doing really fulfills you and makes your heart sing. And then what are you really good at? Are you awesome at digestion? Are you awesome at hormone balance? Are you awesome at fertility? Focus on the things that you just really rock at, and then market that stuff so you start attracting more and more people that you really love to work with. And they love to work with you. And remember, along the way, you want to be talking about the amazing outcomes that you create. All right, so I have a little mindset piece for you. So this is when we get all weird on you. But I want you to I want you to know that this mindset piece is going to help you to focus in on your clients, your ideal clients, who you want to focus your marketing on by getting into the vibe of these people who you absolutely love to work with and they love to work with you. So just close your eyes and then just listen to each of these statements as if they're true. Okay. My ideal clients love me. My ideal clients want to hire me. My ideal clients willingly pay for my services. My ideal clients fully appreciate the value of the outcomes I create. I am the solution to the challenges my ideal clients face. I love to help my ideal clients achieve their desired outcomes. My ideal clients tell everyone about me. Okay, so hopefully as I went through that, you started to love your job a little bit more. So you definitely, if I start going through a thing where I start getting clients that I don't really love to work with, I do a reset. I'm like, okay, back into the vibe of my favorite client, and I go through this type of mindset piece to make sure that I'm sending out the energy to the universe to pull in the people that make me really love to come to work. All right. So let's go through these next two slides sort of as a litmus test to see how you're doing in the credibility category. All right, so this is from the Rocking Reputation and Referrals module in my 6-figure wellness program. And it's just, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions so that you can see like, yeah, I'm doing good here, or I've got room for improvement here. And then maybe you can just make a note of some of the things that you might want to work on. So let me ask you, are you frustrated that people in your community don't view you as an expert? Do you sometimes feel that you need another skill or certification to be valued or respected? Do you have some personal or professional success stories that you're proud of? Do you have some clients who are truly grateful for the outcomes you created? And then I'd add, are you asking them for testimonials? Is being an expert your deep, dark secret? One of the things that used to happen years ago is people would show up and they'd be like, oh, how long have you been here? And I'd say, oh, 4 years. And like, oh, I never heard of you. I'm like, I do not want to be the best kept secret in town. And neither do you. You want to be out there. Do you talk about your credentials in your initial consultation and presentations? I found it very interesting when I started doing business coaching, when I would ask practitioners, at what point during your initial consultation do you talk about yourself? And very often they would say, oh, I don't. And I was like, how do you expect this person sitting across from you to know that you know what the heck you're talking about and that you're qualified to make these recommendations that you're asking them to spend often a significant amount of money on? So you absolutely want to make sure that you're really talking about yourself. And I actually have some tips on that in my Catalyzing Consultations module as well. Do you share your personal journey? You want to make a connection with people. That's why in my introduction, I talk about how I used to be an animal nutritionist, because you know what? That's not relevant to what I'm doing here today. That lets people know I love animals too. And then anybody who has animals and loves animals, they smile when I say I used to be an animal nutritionist. Or when I say, and we realized if we ever wanted to go on vacation anywhere besides Houston, Minnesota, everybody laughs. So I'm making a connection during that little piece. And we timed it at the last workshop I taught, and it was 2 minutes. Those are the most valuable 2 minutes in your whole initial consultation. Do you share professional success stories? Oh, I had a client who, you know, had this once, and then within 3 months it was gone. You know, tell people stories about that. And absolutely find a way to speak at local events. One of the great things we have in our area is we have 3 different communities that offer community education classes. And I get to go in their catalog for free and teach classes to people who are willing to pay a few bucks to come hear what I have to say. And very consistently, I'm rolling these people in to wellness consultations. They're coming in for wellness services here at my office. And then a question for you is, have you reached out to influential members of your community? If you want a really great podcast on networking, if you go to the wellnesspracticegps.com page, and then down toward the bottom of the page, there's a free podcast that you can download that's about networking and how I collaborated with, of all things, a financial advisor in the area for a really successful event. So what I want you to do, these are 3 things that I want you to do that can strengthen your credibility during consultations. Take 2 to 5 minutes in every initial consultation or intake or even presentation to talk about yourself. Give your credentials, talk about your journey. Make sure people are understanding that you have earned their respect and you're capable of making these suggestions because of your qualifications. Share a personal experience that creates a connection with your client or patient. And when appropriate, it's really effective if you can use numbers. So for example, I've been in practice for 5 years. Prior to that, I was an accountant, but I didn't find that work fulfilling, so I followed my passion and earned a degree in wellness. Since then, I've helped over 1,000 people on their wellness journey. So using the number 5 for 5 years and 1,000 for 1,000 clients, it's so much more powerful than saying, I've been in practice for several years and help lots of people, right? Do you hear the difference there? So, you know, work on your script and don't hesitate to just practice it and tweak it till it's really awesome for you.
And maybe before can I interject a couple questions right here, because we're having a lot. This is very awesome. So one of the questions is like, how do you like, how long does your coaching program normally take? Like when you work with someone on learning how to market themselves, like how long do you normally see it take to fully take effect or see the benefit of that?
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of times people start making changes after my initial conversation with them, which is just me seeing, are you a good fit for my wellness program or for my wellness coaching program, or am I a good fit for you? But sometimes even just that initial half-hour conversation, people start implementing changes. I had one woman that I talked to that she got off the phone with me, and I just talked to her about her own value. I didn't tell her to do this, but she got off the phone with me and immediately doubled her prices, and she's like, nobody blinked, because she fully embraced that was the value that she was delivering. So if the person that was asking that question is asking, like, how long do my coaching programs last? Like, how long do I work with people? There are lots of different options for that. And but I'm going to talk about at the end of the program, the ZYTO business coaching group coaching program that I'm launching. And so I'll give you the details on that. But if you have more specific questions, you can just contact me through wellnesspracticegps.com, and I'll have my email at the end of the presentation for more specifics. All right, well, let's kind of move through the next module, and then we'll definitely have some more time at the end for more questions and answers. So the final module in the six-figure wellness practice is effective events and expos. So I want to ask you, Have you ever invested in a wellness event and not gotten any clients from it? Have you ever given a wellness presentation and not gotten any clients from it? Have you ever spent time, money, and energy promoting yourself at live events and you haven't gotten any clients from it? I promise you everybody can answer yes on all of these questions at some point in their career, but hopefully you've developed some skills over the years, or I'm going to give you some tips today that can help you to change that. And if you're on this call, you probably have a really valuable tool for that. You are totally missing the boat if you are not using your ZYTO at live events. So I'm just going to talk about this quick. So I have been using my ZYTO at live events ever since I got it. So I set up a table with a bunch of information. On the corner of the table, I have my laptop. So I always request a booth with access to electricity, and I always bring an extension cord because you never know how close that electricity always is. So then I run the legacy basic scan, right? Because it takes like 4 minutes. And I will tell people that I'm not going to have time today because of the nature of the event to go over your whole report with you. But I'll show you a couple quick things, and then I'm going to email it to you. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those for you. But this is an amazing opportunity to harvest leads. So when you're putting people's information into the ZYTO to get ready to run their scan, you're asking for their first name, last name, email address. Now, you'll know if you've done events, a lot of times people go, oh, I don't want to give you my email address. So I say, can I have your email address so I can send you a copy of the report? And then they go, oh, yeah, because I want this. I want to see this. And there have been a couple times where people give me a fake email address, and then they get to see their report, and they go, can I give you a different email address? Because they actually want it. So they see the value of it. But, and then you can put their phone number in there too. I don't, because I don't have time to call people. But then you can also, their date of birth is important. But then if you don't know how to do this, get with the ZYTO tech people. You can run a report for everyone that you scanned that day, grab all those email addresses, and then you can send them a time-sensitive, irresistible offer after the event. Thank you for stopping by my booth at Earth Day. Attached is your ZYTO hand scan report. You'll notice that there are areas of imbalance. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to email me back. But I want you to know, as a thank you for stopping by my booth, I'm offering you $20 off an initial consultation with me if you book it within the next 2 weeks. Isn't that a lot better than just, would you like to enter my drawing for a free consultation? Mm-hmm. Right? So really, I take my ZYTO. I mean, like I said, I have the Elite, but I don't use the Elite at live events. I just, within the Elite, I run the legacy basic scan in and out. And, I scroll down and I'll show them like, woo, your adrenals are really energetically out of balance. Or if their gallbladder shows up out of balance, I might ask them a couple questions. Oh, do you have pain in your right shoulder, pain beneath your shoulder blades, under your right rib cage? So, but then you've got their email addresses and you can put them on your email list. If they want off, they can unsubscribe. But if they were interested enough to sit down with you at the live event and have the hand scan done, they might want to hear what else you have to say and offer, because as you know, it typically takes more than one exposure to get people to come in. So I almost always get at least a client, sometimes several from an event. But what happens is I get them in my zone of influence, and then eventually they become a client.
Are you charging for ZYTO scans at these live events? Or are you just using it as a lead gen?
Yeah, just lead generation. I don't charge at live events, but if people just want a scan in my office, I do charge. Okay. And I typically actually will have my assistant do it so that they don't try to milk a consultation out of a $25 scan.
Right, that's great.
So this slide's going to detail some of the biggest mistakes I see practitioners make at live events and expos. So first and foremost, don't sit down. And the exception is that when you're doing the scan, you want to sit down. So you want to have 2 chairs set up in the corner of your table, one that the client or prospective client can sit down so they can put their stuff down, they can rest their hand, they can watch the screen. A lot of times it's too loud for them to hear the video, that's fine. But you want to just sit down, and while the scan is happening, you can be asking them questions. You literally have a captive audience for 4 minutes. You can ask them, do you have any health concerns, any aches and pains, those sorts of things. Do not ask yes or no questions such as, would you like to have a ZYTO scan today? No thanks. What you want to ask is, if you had to guess, which of your organs would be the most stressed? You want to see if you're right? We could do a quick scan. Very different than asking yes or no questions. Do not abandon your booth with a bunch of literature on it. Just ask yourself, in a million years, would you ever walk by a table, pick up a brochure, and call that person and book an appointment? You got to make a connection with people. Oh my gosh, this is like such a pet peeve of mine. Do not give out candy if you are a wellness professional. Like, I see it all the time, and people say, oh, well, candy makes people stop. I'm like, find another way. If you need candy to get people to stop at your table, talk to me about how to create an effective table at an event. But having candy as a wellness professional is so hypocritical. Just do not ever do that again. But this is really important. Do not forget about your vendor neighbors. Most every event I have ever done, I have gotten the neighboring vendors to come and have a scan after they hear me talking about it all day. They go, can I do that? And some of my longest term clients are clients that I scanned at vendor events back when I had my compass, and they were selling Mary Kay or the, some food things, Pampered Chef or whatever. But they heard me talking and they were like, I want to try that. And now I've had clients for over, 6-7 years that I met at these vendor events. And don't spend too much time with any one person. You got to manage that, because there will be people who will try to milk a consultation for free from you right there. And you can just let them know, oh, I'm really out of time for this scan. I've got to have the chair available for another person, even if there's nobody standing there. Oh, and don't dress too casually. So the rule of thumb on vendor events or on any event, even if it's a speaking event, is to dress one level above the people who are going to be there, right? So if it's Earth Day and there's a lot of fun, kidsy things going on, you can wear khakis and a sweater or a branded jacket or something like that. But if you're going to speak to the Chamber of Commerce, you're going to want to dress more professionally than that. So kind of know your audience and don't be too overdressed, because if you're in a suit and tie or, a dress at Earth Day, people might not, there might not be a good resonance there. So you want to just make sure you're in alignment. All right, before I tell you about my exciting ZYTO business coaching, group coaching, I just want to summarize some key points that I really want you to take away from today's presentation. So embrace money as a vital nutrient that sustains your practice. Again, water is to the human body what money is to your practice. Focus on connecting to people you love to work with and they love to work with you. Get clear on the amazing outcomes you create. Talk about the outcomes, not the process. And build a strong reputation by making a connection with people and earning credibility that way. Connect with your ideal clients through events and expos. And please use the ZYTO technology to its full potential. ZYTO has an amazing team of coaches on their end to really help you to learn to master the technology. And I would tell you to just take full advantage of that. All right, so here's my exciting offer for you. With the record amount of interest in this webinar, I know that many of you must be hungry for this type of information. And I'm really excited to introduce to you my new group coaching program for ZYTO practitioners who own the balance or above. I will first say that if you are a wellness professional and you own the compass, when you get off of this webinar, you need to call ZYTO and upgrade. You have no idea what you're missing, and you'll be so glad that you did. That being said, if you're a ZYTO practitioner and you want to discover how to leverage ZYTO technology so you can quickly and easily attract new clients and support your existing clients without overwhelm or frustration, I invite you to join my 90-day ZYTO business coaching group. All of the details about this can be found at ZYTOBizCoaching.com. I'll just let you know we have like 650 people that are on the call today, and space is limited, and we start December 6th. Beyond that, if you want to learn any more about my coaching programs, I would suggest you go to wellnesspracticegps.com. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity today and for ZYTO putting all of this together, and I invite you as participants to write down these two websites, ZYTOBizCoaching.com and wellnesspracticegps.com, as well as 3 action items that you're going to take today based on what you learned. And I'd love to answer some questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is awesome. We have just had questions rolling in the entire time. So we're going to get to as many of these questions as possible. And then, like Patti mentioned, obviously she's gone above and beyond, making herself incredibly available, uniquely to this audience. And so we're just really grateful for that and her effort in making herself available. Here's a question. When you're running these scans, and maybe you can answer this in kind of two parts. When you're running a scan afterwards, when you're emailing out a report, are you sending them the full, page report, or are you giving them a more condensed version of that report? Because within the balance system, obviously within the select and elite systems, you can kind of customize the amount of information that you're sharing. So, and maybe answer that for when you're at a live event, just at an expo or whatever, and then also when you're at your just in your practice. How do you?
Oh yeah, great, because I have 3 different answers.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so at a live event, I just do a short scan with a short report, and so the basic report the real important parts there are the organ scan, the vertebrae. I refer a lot for chiropractic, so I like the organs and the vertebrae the most, but I'm not going to go through and bother editing out the teeth and the acupuncture meridians, and certainly the products are nice, because sometimes people will say, how do I buy these products that I came up in my scan? So I send just that initial scan for the basic report for live events where I'm just doing those quickie scans. In my practice, probably 60% of the time in my initial consultation, I actually run the balance scan with the 23-page report, depending on the person, but I don't go through the whole report during their appointment because that becomes overwhelming. I go over the first few pages of the report and show them how to read it, and then I give them that whole report to take home. And that's actually one of the things that I teach in my catalyzing consultations is how to take this 20-something page report and then only talk about 4 pages, but still put together a wellness presentation that is relevant to the client and that they want to invest in. But then in follow-up consultations and occasionally in initial consultations, I use my Elite software, and then that report is only 2 pages that I give them.
Okay, very good. When you're at an event or an expo, what kind of advertising do you do? Like, what does your booth setup look like? How do you attract people to come and want to engage with you?
Yeah, so that's all included in my effective events and expos module in the 6-figure wellness practice. There's pictures of some of my tables and such. So I am a little bit of a minimalist when it comes to lugging a bunch of stuff around. And you don't want your table to be too busy, but these are some of the things that I coach people on, like questions to ask people to get them engaged. Like, if you had to guess, what would be your most stressed organ? And ask them, well, do you want to see if you're right? Come on over and have a seat. And then the best thing you can do is have somebody in that chair getting a scan, because as people walk by, they want to watch before they decide. If it's just an empty chair sitting there, they're a little hesitant. They might not make eye contact. But if you've got someone in that chair, they're curious what that person's doing. So if you're able to have somebody, if your booth is slow, and you have like somebody there helping you with the booth, or somebody brought you lunch, ask them to sit down and just do a scan, just so people will start watching, and then you can say, oh, if you'd like a scan, we could do you next if you like. But there's a lot that goes into having an effective event or expo, and that's why I did a whole module on it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing how humans are kind of attracted, like when they see busyness in a booth. It's like, you know, people flock to that. You know, they love that.
Because they feel like they can just observe and not have to participate until they decide,
right.
versus the walk by and get snatched kind of thing.
Yeah. Would you suggest, like, is your coaching program suited for someone who's more of a novice at really kind of health coaching in general, or do you require someone with a lot of health knowledge to really be able to fully participate in your coaching program?
Sure. So that's kind of a loaded question. So I definitely,
I'm good at those.
I know. I definitely gear my programs to credentialed professionals, because there's just a certain level of experience that these people tend to bring to the table. However, if it's someone who is like just finishing a wellness certification program, I think that's a perfect time to do some business coaching, because you're about to launch something or you're just getting started, and you don't want to make the mistakes that everybody makes if they don't know what they're doing starting a business. One of the smartest things I ever did when I first started was just to keep my overhead so low that, you know, I wasn't going into a big hole every month while I was out there trying to build my practice and make connections in the community. So I hope that answers your question. If not, just email me.
I think that was great. Thank you. Let's go ahead. We have, like I said, there's just been a ton of questions. We hope that we've gotten to as many ones that have been really applicable to the larger audience. If you have more specific questions, that's where we'd recommend to reach out to Patti directly and obviously make contact with her. I just first want to say thank you so much to Dr. Bartsch. This is obviously I'm a marketer at heart, and so this is a really important topic for me. Here at ZYTO, I get 2 or 3 emails a week from customers asking questions specifically about this topic. How can I better utilize and market myself as a practitioner, and how can I further build my business? And a lot of these concepts that she's outlined today are so valuable. I 100% endorse everything that she's mentioned. I'd encourage you to look further into a lot of the information that she's provided online and reach out to her. That's what she's made available to each of us here today. Our next wellness webinar will happen on December 5th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, same time as always. We're going to have Dr. Nikki Reed Wilson come in and help us learn more about emotional health and well-being. It's going to be awesome. We hope that each of you kind of join in. If you can make it to the live event, we always try to have some sort of special promotion or something like that happening. If you need to watch it after the fact, we always distribute it. But we encourage you to go and register for that webinar today. I just want to personally thank Dr. Bartsch for your time. It was a phenomenal presentation. I hope that everyone that attended really extracted the full value out of it. If not, we have the video that will be coming out. Obviously, live, you're kind of scrambling to take notes. Don't worry. We'll have the full video edit out here in the next few days, and we'll be emailing that out for you to review at your leisure. And obviously, we'd encourage you to reach out to Patti at any time. So thank you for being here with us, and we'll plan on seeing you next month. Happy November, everyone.